Hey there and welcome. So, you've had that light bulb moment, right? That flash of genius for an app that you just know could be a game changer. Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down how you take that incredible idea and actually make it real.
I think we've all been there. You're just living your life and then, bam, it hits you. The perfect app idea. You can see it so clearly. It solves a real problem. It's totally unique, and you just know people are going to love it.
And then, reality crashes the party. The second you start thinking about how to actually do it, your brain just floods with everything. Coding, design, marketing, funding. That to-do list gets crazy long, and honestly, it's super easy to feel completely stuck before you've even started.
But listen, it does not have to be that complicated. We're going to cut right through all that noise and give you a simple, straightforward map. An actual step-by-step checklist that'll guide you from that first little spark of an idea all the way to launch day and even beyond. So here's the plan. First, we'll navigate the app idea maze. Then we'll move on to crafting your blueprint. After that, it's all about going from design to development. Then we'll cover preparing for launch, and finally, we'll talk about growing your audience. It's a clear 5-step journey.
Okay, first up, the app idea maze. This is where so many amazing ideas get lost, right at the beginning. You've got the concept, but what's the very first thing you should actually do? Well, it all boils down to one word: validation. Look, before you even think about writing a single line of code, you gotta do your homework. Seriously. First, validate the idea. Is this something people would actually use? Be honest. Next, who is this for? Get super specific about your target user. Then, scope out the competition. What are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? And that leads to the most important piece. What makes your app special? That's your unique value, the thing that will make people choose you. So once you've found your way out of that idea maze, it's time to draw up the plans. This is your blueprint phase, and it's so important. I mean, you wouldn't build a house without a detailed blueprint, right? Well, same goes for your app.
Now, your blueprint really has 3 main parts. First, you've got to map out your core features. What are the absolute must-haves? Second, you need to define your MVP, your minimum viable product, and we'll get to what that is in just a sec. And third, you have to decide how you're going to make money. Trust me, thinking about this now will save you so many headaches later.
All right, so I just threw that term out there, MVP. You hear it all the time in the tech world, but what does it actually mean? It can be kind of confusing, so let's clear that up right now.
Okay, here's the deal with an MVP. It is not a buggy, half-baked product. Not at all. It is the simplest possible version of your app that solves the main problem for your very first users. The whole point is to get it out there and learn what people really want without, spending years and a fortune building a bunch of features nobody ends up using. And what about getting paid? Well, you've got a few classic options. You can go free with ads, which is great if you're aiming for a massive audience, like with a casual game. Then there's freemium, where the basic app is free, but you offer powerful extra features for a price. And of course, the paid app, a simple one-time fee to download, which often works great for specialized, high-value tools.
All right, blueprint in hand, this is where the magic starts to happen. This is the phase where your idea stops being just words on a page and starts becoming a real, tangible thing you can actually interact with. It's time to design and develop.
Now, during the build, you're basically juggling 3 things. You've got the user interface, or UI. That's the visuals, how it looks. Then you've got the user experience, or UX. That's how it feels to use. And underneath it all is the clean code, the solid foundation that makes sure your app doesn't crash. Here's the best way to think about it. UI is the beautiful menu at a fancy restaurant, the font, the layout. But UX is the entire experience, from the moment you walk in, to how helpful the waiter is, to how easy it is to pay. You need both to be great.
Okay, the app is built, it looks amazing, it feels incredible, and that temptation to just smash that launch button is huge. But wait, hold on. This next part, the final check, is what really separates the professional apps from the amateur ones.
Think of this as your pre-flight checklist. You have to test everything, and I mean everything, on different phones, different screen sizes, you name it. Hunt down and squash every single bug you can find. Get your screenshots and your App Store description perfect. Then, and only then, are you ready to submit. A flawless launch is so worth the extra patience.
And we have liftoff. Your app is live. Seriously, congratulations. That's a huge deal. But the work isn't over, not by a long shot.
In fact, a whole new adventure is just getting started, getting people to actually find and download your app.
So how do you get noticed? Well, you've got some classic tools in your toolbox. There's App Store Optimization, or ASO, which is basically making your app easy to find in the App Store search. Of course, you've got social media and content marketing. And one of the most important things, creating a loop where you're constantly listening to user feedback and making your app better.
But let's be real for a second. The app market is incredibly crowded. To really cut through the noise, you can't just tell people your app is great. You've got to show them. And that's where visual engagement becomes an absolute must-have.
And here's a killer insight from the source material we looked at. It points to a really powerful tactic for this, something called mini video access. The basic idea is to use quick, engaging videos to show users exactly what your app does and why it's so cool.
So how does this work in practice? It's actually super simple. You create short, snappy video demos of your best features. You produce quick tutorials that solve common problems for your users. And then you blast those bite-sized videos everywhere. TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. It is the fastest way to show, not just tell.
So let's do a super quick recap of the whole journey. Stage 1, the idea maze. Validate before you build. Stage 2, the blueprint. An MVP is your best friend for saving time and money. Stage 3, the build. Remember, great design is how it works. Stage 4, pre-launch. Test, test, and test again. And Stage 5, growth. Your marketing starts on day 1.
And there you have it. That journey that seems so impossible, from just a thought in your head to a real live app, is now a clear, manageable map. You know the stages, you know what to watch out for, you have the guide.
Really? The only question left is, what are you waiting for? That incredible idea of yours is ready. And now you have the checklist to make it happen. So what are you going to build first?